Oi, oi. Day 3 preview for Punchestown. I'm putting this right at the beginning of the video so no one misses out. If you hang on until the end, and you're watching this before the racing today, so recording this on Wednesday, I'm going to show you my bets for the day. Like, I know I put it in yesterday what my bets were going to be, but this literally is my bets at the end of the video. So, I mean, skip if you want to skip, but have a look. It will show you my stake and all that sort of stuff, and I'll explain why I've done that in this particular instance. But let's crack on. Thursday's racing. There's a couple in there that I've got interested about, to be honest with you. So you'll see I'm a bit closer to the camera because I'm not wearing my glasses. Also need to moisturise or drink some more water. But a few races in here that I just don't really want to start delving into or get too stuck into. So like the first race, there's lots of horses in there that I could start to look at and start to delve into, but there was nothing that really sort of jumped out to begin with. And I don't really want to start just dipping in and looking for bets for the sake of it, especially when it comes to these lower rated races. So leave that one alone. Handicap chase in the second race. This is a race where I can see why the market's formed as it is, but there's a lot of horses in here that I like to oppose really more than anything. So Grange Walk, just the falling worries me. Shane Fitzgerald being on board, I talk about him being used. I think he's got a cracking chance. Probably does deserve to be favourite. I probably don't know if I could risk him at the price. I don't know. Mount Leinster, I know he's had the back-to-back wins. I just don't really trust the horse in the slightest. I just think when it comes into a better class of race, that he's going to get found out. Admittedly, he's got some ability, but I don't know. I don't know. The ground will probably suit better than it did at the Dublin Racing Festival, even though the ground at the Dublin Racing Festival was in theory about the same. But the similar thing happened there. Pushed along, headed, weakened towards the end. I think the same picture's going to happen here. So I'll be taking on the one towards the front. Magic Days was obviously one that ran at Cheltenham, ran in that Arkle, and ran pretty poorly considering everyone was sort of rimming her as a lively outsider or the wise guy's horse. Tongue tie on now, don't excuse it. Zara Kiva for Henry de Bromhead, another one for Rob Kerr. That's Rachel Blackmore's choice. She's obviously had first choice in there. I don't see enough with what she's done or what he's done. Sorry, correct. What she's done to really make me feel like her mark of 135 is a winnable one. But Tiger Voice, that Darrow O'Keefe's going to ride, I quite like this horse as a bit more of an obscure one. Now, it's nowhere near in the realms of like the Felix Degi of yesterday. Got battered by Grange Walk and he was a 22-1 poke at Leopardstown at Christmas, but he has been kept off since then. He won at Punchestown, so course and distance win, massive plus for me. That was off a £4 lower mark. It only won by 3/4 of a length. That was on soft ground, and I think the quicker ground will probably suit. Now, this was a race that had a little bit of depth in behind there. There was Battle Over Doyen in there, and Elisa did fall. But I just think that course and distance stuff's quite good. And if you go back a little bit further on some of his form, like when he was like running as like a novice, behind the likes of Band of Outlaws, I think that he was probably well thought of and maybe didn't really achieve what they were expecting of him. Long and the short of it is, this horse is a 20-1 poke. That course and distance win's good enough for me to think he can be competitive. Didn't jump very well the last day. When he ran at Galway in between, which is definitely a specialist one, the horse just never really travelled. But they had Paul Townend on that day, and he was well-backed favourite. Then obviously they had the gap until Leopardstown. I think they ran him at Galway because the ground was maybe key to him. He fell at Punchestown here as well on good ground over a further trip, going best, and he would have won. That was with Robbie Power on board. But when he did have that win, it was Darrow O'Keefe that rode him. So I just think at 20-1 in a bit of a muddling race, I think he's a bit of a price. I will probably be looking to just hit him in the place markets right near the off, because I don't suspect there'll be loads of support for him. And you get in the 3 places. When he's a 20-1 poke, and obviously on this change, it might get a bit bigger. I don't know. We might get 5-6-1 just for him to play. So I'd be happy to take a bit of a go on that one. It's punty, but that's the way. And I don't know whether he's there for win purposes, but I think the way that he rides, if he does want to, he could be out the back and then he could be staying on. And he's not the sort of horse I think you can trade and run him because, again, I think he'll be out the back. Cross-country chase, I'm just not interested in. The Champion Stairs Hurdle, I'm really, really, really pleased to see one particular runner in here. I'm really, really pleased to see that there's 8 runners, and I'm really, really pleased to see the price that they are. So when you look at the official ratings of this race, 151 for Ashdale Bob, 146, 163 Classical Dream, standout, 159 Paisley, 160 Cider Burley, then we've got 152 Devil's Coachman, 148 Vanilla, 150 Concertista. Chuck Concertista's mare allowance in there, she goes up to 157, which means if we go for the top 4 rated horses, Classical Dream 163, beaten the last twice. Paisley Park 159, admittedly did win at Cheltenham, but has been beaten in between, or either side of it, sorry. Cider Burley 160 rated, yes, won at Aintree, that was a pretty good win, flopped out at Cheltenham. Concertista, 157, yes, didn't run particularly well at Cheltenham, but the 2 runs before that, making her way through over fences, they were sort of kidding her through those races. She was pretty good. And she's a very, very, very good hurdler. I think the step up to 3 miles is undoubtedly going to suit. She hasn't got much to find on those official figures. She's got like £3 or £4, I think, to find. And I don't think she needs to find those £3 or £4 because I don't know if those horses are going to run up to their big numbers. 20 to 1 is an absolute ridiculous price. So the way I've played it is I've already had 35, I think, on win only at 20 to 1 because I thought she'd be smashed up. That hasn't happened. So we'll just have to see how things happen on there. When the exchange starts to get a bit more liquidity in there, I might be able to cash out my sportsbook bet on that one and then move it onto the exchange for a bigger price. I wouldn't get the best odds guaranteed anyway because I'm on 2% commission with Betfair, so I may move that, so I might get a little bit more out of it, but I'm still definitely backing her to win because I think she can. And she'd be another one that I'd want to hammer in the place market. Again, potentially could be getting 5, 6 to 1 about her in there. That's the way I see it. Now, there's no doubt Classical Dream's a monster on his day. Again, probably deserved favourite. Cider Burley, probably 11 to 2 isn't too bad a price. And then Paisley Park, of course, we know Paisley Park's capable. Classical Dream was just so good in the race last year. I just think everyone's obviously going to coo on to him. And like I say, deserves to be favoured. But I just think Concertista's a monster price. I think she's a very good mare. I cannot believe when I run through these horses that she's the outsider of the field. So get stuck in. Never trust a mare, but we're in. Handicap hurdle, 6 o'clock. Another race again where there's just tons of horses where you could dip into that have run this season, that have been fancied, and that you could make another case for. I'm just personally trying to stay away from this race. I might have a bit more of an opinion when it comes nearer to it after. The Bomber Liston was one that I had sort of half an eye on. Nicky Henderson sends these horses over here and they typically run quite well. And again, with it being JP McManus, the guy that it's named after, there's just lots of things pointing to the fact that they're trying with this one. But yeah, I don't know. A Great View, Mark Walsh is riding him, isn't he? Very old. I don't know. It's one of them that I go back and forth on so many horses that I don't want to say to you I fancy something in there. So we'll leave it as that. Form your own opinion, basically. Then the Novices Chase, the 2 mile one. This was something I was thinking about yesterday, right? With the Novice Chase division as it was at Cheltenham, like how exciting it was. I know the Arkle wasn't so good. Bob, I told you, was just going to plop yesterday. The race at Cheltenham, he was gone. If Galopin Des Champs hadn't fallen, then we'd all be talking about horses being battered by 40 lengths going off a 5-12. But anyway, by the by, I'm a bit sad about the Novice Chase division, to be honest with you, because when you think about future champion chasers, future Gold Cup horses, yes, there are some nice types, but like with La Homme Presse, Ahoy Senior and Brave Man's Game all beating each other, it could be quite a nice little division, because hopefully the British will have the best side of it. I'm just not keen on many of the Irish ones, to be honest with you, anymore. Capadano was good yesterday, but I don't think he beat anything in the field. So again, within this race, I don't think there's much in there. Gentleman to Me obviously did go take the scalp of Edwardstone, which is no light task, to be honest with you. As much as I poo-poo the horse, I was just waiting for someone like this to come on to go and beat him. I think 6-4 about him is fair. He is a bit of a head casey horse, and I do just wonder whether Punchestown's really going to suit. Fences here aren't that tricky to jump, I don't think, but he's run here a couple of times before and it wouldn't be his most favourite track, but he is a much improved horse now, so again deserves to be favourite. I only got the 7 runners in here, so the mugging each way play things do go slightly different. Gabanaco was supplemented for the Arkle, and what a great choice that was. So pretty good run there, to be honest with you. I still do like Blue Lord. Like, I thought he ran okay enough at Cheltenham, especially considering his best form last season was away from Cheltenham. Now, he did get beat in the novice hurdle when he came back to Punchestown, so I just wonder whether this horse, when it comes to the springtime, maybe just isn't top end anymore. So I keep going back and forth in the race, keep looking in and around it, and I'm just not sure what I could find as a bet in it. Houghton Couliers doesn't jump well enough to do anything for me yet. Like, could improve as time goes on. I do like Saint Sam, and I think he was an unlucky faller at Cheltenham as well. He doesn't jump that great, but he is obviously a 5-year-old, and I still think there's more improvement to come from him. But he's another one that when he ran at Cheltenham was a little bit of trouble in his race. When he ran at Punchestown last year, was a bit of trouble in his race, but was pretty well beaten. So I just go back and forth in this race all over the shop. I don't want to have a bet in it, basically. Sorry about wasting your time. There's a mare's handicap chase. And then we've got a bumper at the end of it where James's Gate was well touted for Cheltenham as a potential real monster. There's a few nice horses that are in here. Ran really well behind Facile Vega, I think. The ground, obviously, there was heavy. One at Punchestown on heavy as well. It's one of those that I think is run on heavy because there's heavy ground about. It's actually got a sibling, Black Lightning, that was like a good ground specialist. So I think James's Gate, they know it's a really nice horse. I reckon that could be a good bet in a bumper. But there is obviously risks attached with bumpers, isn't there? So I don't even know what sort of price he'd be. I'll keep an eye on him. I think he'll run well. I think he'll probably win. So that's the thoughts for tomorrow. So a couple of chances to have some bets in there. As I say, if you manage to stay on, I'm going to flick now onto another screen where I'll show you a couple of the bets, just what I've done. Again, I guess kind of doing it for my own little sanity as well. But I feel like with these videos that I'm doing it for you guys, considering the racing doesn't kick off for another 5 hours, you've got the chance to actually see what I've bet on, and maybe that's more informative to you. I get that the early likes of this video may not be in there, but if you see the views of this, then maybe I'll do the same thing tomorrow if you comment below that you like what I've done with that. So please comment, like, subscribe, go back some winners, and I will see you tomorrow.
So, as a Brucey bonus, because I'm recording this and Punchestown's in the afternoon, if anyone stayed this long through the video, I thought I'd show you the bets that I've struck for today. A little while ago, I got a few messages with people saying, "Oh, it's easy to say you've had so much money on a horse, but who knows if you've actually done it or whatever." So I'll stick a slip up now with my Grenadine bet from the weekend and the fact that I talked about backing this particular horse in the opener. So you can see the stakes that I've put on there. So I talk about the fact I'm not really much of an each-way player. I wanted this horse to be a bigger price to back him, like I say, potentially to look at the lay side of it. When he opened up really short, 9-1 being the top price, I just thought that's the best price I'm going to get. The fact there's 6 places up for grabs, I felt like the each way option was probably the best way to play it, so that's what I've done. And then I batted Life in the Park as like a bit of a stake saver danger, so 200 quid on there. It was 100 each way on, thanks for the help to begin with, but then I just tweaked it slightly. Obviously now in hindsight I'd rather have kept the extra bit in there, but you can't always get them 100% spot on, so that's for that. I'm going to run through the Punchestown bets today as well. Like, they're not massive stakes, but this gives you a bit of a vibe of when I'm talking about things. We like betting and things like that, don't we? So give you a feel of what I've done. Not all of these are going to be so glorious, I don't think. But like Sam's Choice, I've bet. You can see that I've had 12.50 on at 13-2. Looked at this race a bit more after. He's waited to reverse the form with Freedom to Dream and Glen Gooley. Choice of words for Martin Brazil. She battered this horse at Galway, but that's a bit of a specialist track. So I thought he was a big price, or a big enough price to be back in, let's say that much. Race after, I feel Duder. I think that Languedown form's pretty good. It's like a minefield of a race, really. I've had 25 on him at 2-1. Like, I think it's an okay price, and I probably with this one I'll look to put an in-running lay on the horse, and I might even drop that down as something even as low as or maybe as high as something like an even money poke or something like that, because I think he's going to travel in the race. I do think it's so competitive. I just wonder whether I'd rather just get my £25 back out and then free 25 if he wins, rather than risk the 25 to win the 50. You know what I mean? It's not making massive money anyway. Then the Nice Guy, I've backed the Nice Guy. Think he's got a proper chance. I will probably have some more on the Nice Guy. I touched on the fact that I think his price will stay about stable, and I do want to get a bit more on him because I do like him. I'm happy enough with just having the 25 quid on him and then just leaving the bet full stop. I know I talked about trading and running for Phil Dudery. I think I'll just leave this one. So again, I might not have any more on. If I did have more on, I'd be looking to extra stakes, put another 50 on or something like that. I'd be looking to trade that a little bit, which just brings up the average price on this one. But there are 12.50s and 25s in there. In here, I don't even really massively like Galvin, to be honest with you, but you could see what was going to happen. Like, well backed for the Gold Cup at Cheltenham. See his price is going to shrink up a little bit. So I've actually backed him just for the sake of it. Again, I know I could trade this one if I wanted to for small amounts. We'll see what we do with that. In the place market as well, someone was giving 5-4 Galvin to place. So again, with the fact that I knew the price of him was a bit big, I think the place bet in there was a sensible one as well. And then Manila Indo, like, I do want to back him to place. I might get more than this 6-4, but I don't know. I've left it in there. Hopefully it will get matched. Because I've got the boy this afternoon after school, I don't want to be fanning about looking to see about getting bets on and stuff like that. I'll rather spend my time with him. So that's in there. If it gets matched, it gets matched. If it doesn't, it doesn't. In the bumper, I do like American Mike. I do think that the price that he is, was okay, like the 4-1 he was yesterday. Madman's Game, I do think is like he probably, another one probably could go off bigger. I could have taken the bet for SP, but I feel like he might get nibbled a little bit. Lavery had a winner yesterday for Gordon Elliott, didn't he? This Madman's Game is only 10-1 in the champion bumper, and as much as the heavy ground might sound like it's all good, Gentleman's Game, that he's very closely related to, might even be a full brother to him, won on good ground the last day, beating Unexpected Depth. with a tongue tie on. So as much as this horse is raced exclusively on bad ground, I reckon this better ground could see some significant improvement. And at that factor, 66 to 1 is just too big. You don't need much on. You see I've had a fiver on. So we've done that. And then I've done something strange, which I could have just skipped past and not shown you. Right, I talked about I might smash American Mike in the place market. And I was gonna, but I would pitch this myself. Right, there's 3 places up for grabs. Yes, there's loads of like big priced runners in there, but with these bumpers, some of them can be unexposed, and we can see some run big races. Yesterday, when I laid Bob Ollinger place market a little bit in the win, and then a lot in the 2 places, but I laid him in the 3 places as well. So the point I'm getting to in here is, yes, there was 7 runners, so there was a smaller field, but Bob Ollinger I laid at 1 to 3 to place 3 places, and Bob Ollinger was 5 to 4 to win his race. Now I know there's less depth. Even in the Bob Ollinger race, there wasn't that much in there really. I can't believe that this horse is sort of 4 to 1-ish on the exchanges to win a race, but he's 1 to 3 to place. Now I do fancy him to place. My idea with this is that I've laid him at this price, and then I'm going to back him back at a bigger price. So I was genuinely expecting that I'd be getting 4 to 6, 8 to 11 about this horse to place, which I know is probably being a bit bullish, but we'll see what happens nearer the time. So this might be one where I'm doing the boy in a bath at 6:30. I'll have a little closer to it. If he stays this short, then I'm just gonna leave the lay, even though I said I was going to back him, because I just think the price is too short. I do still think he probably is the most likely one to place in there. I do think the better ground is a tiny bit of a question mark, like it may or may not suit, and you never know how much that bump has left a mark on him. So because of the price, I've played this particular position, but I am hoping to get back out of it. Like I'm hoping he goes out to sort of 4 to 6 to place, and then I can back him back. And then because I've laid, I just have moved the liability across, so the 28.31 risk would then go to risk of him not placing, just because I know that I'm getting good value to get a bigger price. So may not happen the way that that's priced up, but I'm not interested when it's that short. Seal Dinez, you see there, I've backed him. And I've backed him at a bad price, really. I did think there was going to be more money for him come overnight. These sorts of more competitive handicaps, Betfair SP tends to be the way to play it rather than taking a price. Took a bit of a punt and there may be more of a nibble for him. He did shorten up a little bit this morning. If I get the graphs up, you see there, he did dip under 4 and then he's gone back out again a bit. Who knows what will happen nearer the time, but I possibly should have put that as Betfair SP, but I didn't. And then Fancy Foundations, just because George put him up at Cheltenham and he didn't run, and then Daryl fancies him today. I've had a couple of quid on him. Again, I should have probably backed him at SP, but I don't really care for the smaller stakes. And I know I should, but I don't. Jatara, I talked about this horse as one to back. Didn't have much on. 15.55, that was the most I could get. I think possibly, maybe the highest that it was matched at. Obviously, because it's average odds, isn't it? Yeah, there's bits in there at 16, but I feel like if I'd shop the average odds of, it was me that got some of that anyway, but it doesn't matter. I just had the bet on him. That's it. Leave it as that. Like I'll risk the tenner just to see if he goes well. I just thought he was a bit of a price in there. So that's the bets that I've done on there. You've seen the one on Bet365 as well. Again, just like to be transparent. Not that I need to prove anything to anyone, but it shows you the way that I'm playing it. And yeah, that's going to wrap up the video. See you again on the other side.